EDG, one of those teams that gets some of the fewest mid lane bans levied against them. A few extra jungle bans, a few extra bot lane bans against them as well. They draw a lot of Lucian and Varus. So the Nocturne, of course, going to get traded back over. Tarzan going to be piloting that one in game number 1. Hope going to snap up that Varus.
Yeah, they deny that combo. Varus can play outside of Orianna's range with the poke. And expecting Shanks to lock in the Azir on 3, as that has been his most played for the split. So leave likely to answer with a Jhin. Will say, bit of a choice now for AL. If they want to get Flandre one of his tanks early on, they could drop Shanks. In the matchup, I'm still expecting this to be Azir, but priority now on the tanks for AL, as Jhin struggles into champions like Ornn, Cassante, which 2 champions we actually haven't seen Flandre play this split, but Sion's still his most played.
Yeah, a little surprised to see both of the carry cards be shown this early in the draft. There's your answer for any potential takes in the top lane. That'll calm those things down right away. As Xiaohao taking this Trundle, both as his matchup du jour up against the Nocturne, and as a preemptive counter to any kinds of tanks that Flandre might want to bust out here. So now looking at the Rise is Shanks, looking to get a second global to go alongside this Nocturne. Would be a fine lane against the Orianna, maybe a bit outranged.
This is interesting to me because they're splitting up the Orianna-Azir matchup, which, again, AL Shanks, Azir is his most played. We've yet to see Azir picked up by Sinian. So I'm interested in the fact that we were splitting up this matchup. Rise does have priority early on, and as you highlighted, Gordo has that semi-global pressure, but outranged by Orianna later on, and also struggles at times into the pillar, doesn't have access to that phase rush. So most have been DFT Rise. Curious if we get a Storm Raider Surge to help maybe deal with that pillar, because thematically so far, even though it's poke Varus for AL, they're outranged. But AL do have access to really impact the side lanes with Nocturne and Rise. So want to see EDG take some stability in the side lanes, just understanding that they're likely to be attacked by Rise and Nocturne. And also, for AL, curious what top laner they want to end up with, just because given they're going up against Trundle, very likely that they're going to need to take something that can carry, and that carry can really be enabled by Nocturne and Rise.
Yeah, that's going to be a big goal here. Ball could fully well be in Flandre's court. Will also be the one who walks away with last pick here. It is, of course, EDG on the first pick side, despite red side, first pick shenanigans. Still ringing true in our ears, still making me struggle through drafts to this very day. I wonder if I'll ever get used to it, really, at this point in first selection, but able to muscle through it here. Second guessed myself maybe 2 or 3 times, even over the course of this sentence.
Might be Varus top, by the way.
Oh.
So, I guess we haven't teased that one because it's one that's not in Flandre's match history.
Because Hoya's not in the game, Cubby. I don't even think about
Hoya's not in the game. I mean, Varus top, again, I feel like would be really enabled by both Rise and Nocturne. But
they're gonna keep that flex alive.
Yeah, Nico Varus is the lane that probably would be the strongest / expected. I think they can find maybe a... Okay,
Bang.
Yeah, it's going to be the Nico. So poke bot lane setup is there. I gotta say, there isn't a single game of Varus in the AL match history. That is really... there's one for Hope. So that's really peculiar. Just as Varus, of course, a champion that's still deemed to be very strong by the majority of teams. But I'm expecting the Varus Nico. But yeah, I think the bans coming out from EDG, just curious, because if they want Renekton, that is one of Varus's better matchups if he wants it up top.
Yeah, I mean, it is a stable lane, though. That is what we've been begging for.
Yeah,
so
that's
Jwei,
right.
Now looking at the Bard, would deny this from Kael. Kael sheds a single tear as he sees his Bard go over to the EDG side. That is what gets locked in. Would certainly give a little bit of roaming potential. Does kind of mean Leave is going to spend a lot of this time left alone. They keep hovering this Camille. I just don't believe it.
It's a counter.
It is, but...
It's counter to Nico, yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to do it, and they don't. So the Bard is locked in. Looking at Shen for Flandre, and it's locked.
Yeah. Let's go. Flandre turning back the clocks. He has played the Shen a couple times already this year. It's a matchup into Renekton where with Renekton can go Black Cleaver and kind of out... Like, once he gets items, the duel is really good for Renekton, but even more global pressure coming in. And Nocturne Shen, I mean, we're really turning back the clocks in terms of league strategies here. Ability to access the side lanes and fight, it's going to be one that EDG is going to have trouble dealing with. As Shen as well, he is a tank, but he prioritizes building a lot of health, whereas Trundle steals resistances. We see Shen usually rush the Titanic Hydra before he gets resistances, so kind of a creative answer, and one that can deal with the top side and the pillar. I like this pick a lot, actually, coming out from Flandre. I really feel like EDG is going to be up against the back foot, and that still gives you that tank that, isn't going to be as vulnerable to Trundle Subjugate, and also can really attack and punish Jhin, as there is a tank in the game, and the more tanks in the game, the less happy Jhin is.
Yeah. And, I really like Shen. After that last round of buffs he got circa, last year, where they just gave his ultimate that huge health ratio. The shield's huge, man. It's huge. Have you seen Shen recently in your games? It's very, very large. Very, very difficult to get through. The champion just does what it says on the box, and it's really, really efficient at being able to create this global pressure, frontline in these fights. Spirit's Refuge is a huge tool, especially when you're up against stuff like the Jhin and the Trundle. I think it's a great pick for Flandre, even without the huge snowball potential.
Yeah. Again, kind of a creative answer to find a tank and not be as vulnerable to Trundle getting the stats, so... I think we're hearing some of the EDG legacy in the arena there, Gordo.
Yeah, the fan base is alive and well. They're revitalized after a play-in series win. I love to hear it. That's pretty much just as loud as the AL. And we got a little Chinese League of Legends client there.
Got to shout out Heimerdinger whenever. But going to be top to bot clears from each of our junglers. We'll say Trundle against Nocturne early on. Trundle has good dueling power against melees, but the fear of Nocturne is quite nice for getting Trundle to run away, and he can run away faster if he's on his empowered terrain too. So this is a matchup that should be Tarzan favored early on. Of course, I think the scaling of Trundle has to be respected. This is a champion that I feel like is kind of making it back in the meta, and frankly, not that surprised given that it's playoffs, because some of the openers you can do with Trundle are really fun. You counter tanks, and Trundle scaling, it needs to be respected. I mean, this champion, if time goes on, you are enabled to fight, can be a problem in a lot of team comps and a lot of fights later on.
Yeah, that's the spirit. As we'll see exactly what the goal in this early game is going to end up looking like for this Trundle. Really good ability to be able to match this Nocturne in a way that not a lot of other junglers in the meta can. So eyes on Xiaohao to see if he's going to be able to abuse this one. Wow, it's a very early recall and TP coming out from Hope in the bottom lane. Just trying to push for a little bit more off this early level 2 that they received in the bottom lane.
Does have the tier. We'll have to see how creative Hope can get with the build, as I think one of the cooler builds I saw was actually from Leave on his Varus in their series against NIP. Went for the tier, but also went for the static Shiv. It was like kind of a hybrid poke build, taking advantage of some of the AP ratios you get on Blight stacks as well. Interested to see if Hope ends up going for something familiar, or if it just ends up being that standard poke Varus. But with Shiv and the changes that were made, the static Shiv, it feels like Varus has a little bit more of motivation to go for that AP build and take advantage of some of those AP ratios on Blight that are really strong, and oftentimes we see with top lane Varus.
Absolutely. So, going to be another really quick recall coming out of Hope and Kael. Really
avoid the gank timer, so that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think just really conscious of the potential impact, the potential swings that can be brought against them against this early game Jhin and Bard, and just wanting to make sure that they don't leave themselves vulnerable. I mean, Hope doesn't even buy an item on that last recall, so they're not going on item timers. They're really just trying to play around what they expect to happen in this matchup, and so far, it's been serving them just fine.
Yeah, also that timer being dodged out on, it did get a double crab for Tarzan. So Nocturne already ahead again. Trundle has trouble doing Nocturne early, just given the fear. And the fact that you run away faster. You have your terrain down. So the fact that Tarzan was able to get that in the match clear, I'm not all too surprised. But the opportunity to trade out that top crab lost on the look bot, which does have Xiaohao in the hole a little bit early.
So now Xiaohao just left without much to do, milling around, waiting for these camps to respawn. Tarzan's got his Raptors coming back up, and yeah, already starting to pull ahead. And this is classic Tarzan, right? This guy is always just up 10 CS out of nowhere. It's very, very impressive pathing from him. He's just always been one step ahead of the majority of his competitors for basically his whole career. It's always been such a big boon to this AL team and their ability to execute. His first dragon is now spawned up. Tarzan is in the wings, not quite at level 6 yet. Keep your eyes open. That second scuttler does look like it is going to spawn topside. We'll see if he tries to book it up there or if he just wants to continue to shadow this bottom lane, which AL seem acutely aware of a desire to protect that one up against Xiaohao.
Kind of a delayed ghost. I think Shanks thought that a shockwave might come out, as it was a timer where Xiaohao might have been hovering mid. But not going to be the case. And again, Tarzan just going to be ahead in this jungle matchup. Base is coming out. He's making his way towards that top crab, which I still do not believe is going to be contestable on the side of EDG, especially given that Stand United is now available for Flandre in the top side. So, also, Flandre overall not going for that early Titanic Hydra, what I'm used to seeing. Might just be rushing for a Heartsteel on this Shen. I do not believe we are on point 11, which did come out today for this playoff bracket. It was point 10 yesterday. Heartsteel did see some buffs there, but should be point 10.
Surely we aren't.
Yeah, point 10 for the duration playoffs.
Yeah, surely we are not changing patches between days of the quarterfinals.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, we'll say LCS will be on the live patch tomorrow. So for fans at home, know that we probably have a pretty big LCS fan base. That will be very interesting because boy, oh boy, did that game change quite a bit, especially in the bot lane.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the fact that we're watching Nico Bard in Game 1 is our biggest sign that the new patch has not hit yet. I don't think we're going to be seeing that very much in the future, at least with some of those aftershock changes coming on through. But not to get too far ahead of ourselves here. Tarzan was, of course, immediately on time to that top scuttler spawn, so he has ticked level 6. He maintains his lead over Xiaohao. And now going to be a constant global threat alongside Flandre that just makes it really tough to go for plays in and around the bottom side of the map. You're just liable to be outnumbered and outgunned in an instant at any time if you push up too far.
I'll say overall, is reading some more info on the builds and what we see this game. Do you think that the script is
nice.
EDG later is going to be stronger? I favor Orianna and Jhin as the game goes on in their own respective matchups, but I just think the ability for AL to speed up the game with Shen, Nocturne, Rise. I mean, if these timers are hit and they're sound, it should be EDG under a ton of pressure in this early to mid game. As we'll catch Kael, apparently it comes out, but a quick and respectful escape. As
only for some, not for all, is Sinian going to be left out to dry. Dragon smited down by Tarzan. First kill picked up as well.
I don't think Sinian got the message. It was a exit plan coming out from the bot lane of EDG, and Sinian was like, what if I shockwave and get a steal as, okay. Good flash from
Tangle
Hope.
Barbs coming on across. Hope going to be looking to return fire. And Jwei will successfully disengage. Xiaohao spending so much time trying to set up for plays here, and he just cannot find them.
And while all that's going on, Tarzan just continues to power farm on this Nocturne. Looking like he might be going for the Stride Breaker first, not the Hexblade. A little bit more combat power for him. As that's interesting. Usually we see the Nocturnes go for the Hexblade first, but kind of wondering if He's making that choice, just given that he will have Shen in his back pocket and can be quite big. Flandre, nice spacing there. Yep, that's solo kill.
Yeah,
oh, boy.
Well done,
That's
Flandre.
not good. That was very poorly played by ZDZ. He got spaced, the double auto on the quick attacks coming out because he was able to hit the baton from one of my favorite old skins in the game, TPA Shen.
Yeah, I do love the sound effects on this one as he's going to try to navigate his way away from Xiaohao. Really nice pillar placement. Going to make it tough to get away. Spirit's Refuge buys him a little bit of time, but Leave will get that shot off eventually and will be able to pick on up that kill. But Grubs are getting worked on by AL. Tarzan has already claimed 1, make that 2 in very short order. EDG going to try to challenge, not going to be able to get in there in time for Grub number 3. Curtain Call opened up, but AL are already gone. Really nice start for them up on this top side.
Yeah, only way that EDG were going to be able to contest the Grubs was the early swap, and yeah, they aren't able to contest. They do get a shutdown on the Leave, and that's going to be it. And I think they're going to try and look to reset these waves quickly because diminishing returns on your quest value when you're not in the same lane. So I actually like the rotate to the Grubs and not prioritizing quests early on. I think that if you can turn it into like playing 2 waves where you actually get grub pressure, that's worth delaying your quest for. But bot and top quests are the most important in the game, just given that it's more gold on ADs and more experience on your top laners. So I think those are really important to find early.
Nice spell shield from Tarzan. Just completely nullifies the shockwave as they go on in trying to lock down this Trundle. And oh boy, do they. Flandre showing the power of Stand United, connects the max distance charm, hold still Xiaohao, and now Leave. Mega outnumbered, mega outgunned in between towers. Has got to head back to the inner just to keep himself safe.
Flandre immediately TPs back up top, so he is down CS, but has already contributed to the map, and I don't feel like that was a play or a shockwave that Sinian could go for, as the first 2 plays that we've seen from him. Again, for Sinian, he is a player, in case you missed our pre-show, this is his 3rd competitive series in Tier 1, and at the start of the year, or start of really 2025, or end of 2025, start of 2026, he was representing the AL banner. He went from AL Young to EDG. They acquired him heading into Split 2, which means that Shanks was behind him. Or I should say Shanks was ahead of him. He was behind Shanks, so going up against the mid laner he would have been training under for this best of 5. I do think he had a really nice play-in series that did get EDG the win in that spot in Group Ascension for Split 3, but maybe seeing a little bit of nerves in this one, as I feel like the first few plays we've seen attempted from him and the crew have been, those plays haven't been there.
Not at all. Kael sees Jwei hanging around mid lane, but not going to be too much to be found here. We are about 45 seconds away from the next dragon spawning on up. AL was able to secure the first one, no problem. Will not have the TP from Flandre, but will have that Stand United back in time, so still going to be exerting some of that global pressure.
Yeah, also Flandre did end up going for that Titanic Hydra. I thought it'd be Heartsteel just because usually I'm used to seeing the Tiamat. It gives Shen the ability to compete for wave clear, but into the Renekton, assume that he just grabbed the Giant's Belt early to live. Does have access to that wave clear now, and yeah, you can see him being a little bit more competitive against CDZ, who rushed the Cleaver. Will feel really nice as Shen likely to pick up some armor next on the Shred, but for now has Flandre in a healthier spot in the matchup. As AL, that Dragon spawns, they are ahead on the map everywhere. At the Dragon on time. Stand United available if EDG wants to walk in and contest, but frankly, I don't think a contest is there.
Wow, this is a TP from ZDZ right into the pit. So going to create a bit of a pinch here. Where does AL want to go? What move do they want to make? Xiaohao up a little bit far, going to get hit by the Rune Prison. Kael looking for the Pop Blossom, going to be able to find it onto 2. And Flandre will lock him down with Shadow Dash. Now going to be in the stasis is ZDZ. He flashes forward with the Shockwave and blows up Hope with the help of Sinian. But they are able to lock down the Dragon on the backside. Tarzan going to be able to run away from the Deadly Flourish. Spell shielding out on that route, but he's cut off from the rest of the team. And he is soon to be taken down. 2 kills for 1 to EDG, but the Dragon is secured by AL.
Nice entrance from ZDZ as the Renekton-Orianna combo ends up finding hope in the backline. And they split AL in that fight. I actually really like how they played the fight once they got in there, because AL used their tools early. They did find a big entrance into the fight. As we get another look, this was a good start. And I mean, Trundle was immediately removed, which means that Dragon likely to go to the side of AL. But the shield coming in from ZDZ was big. And the flash entrance on the Hope, I like this call because look at the fight for AL after this play. Kael's out, he's burned his tools, but Shanks is split from the rest of the team. This enables with the Bard them to actually be able to chase Tarzan and get one more in the back half. So I'm surprised they fought that. I think that AL used their tools a little early in that fight. I'm kind of wondering if they could have saved one of those big ultimates for the back half, because they might have overkilled Xiaohao in that fight, but the empowered TP shield worked overtime, and the split from EDG was good in the fight, but objective still goes over to AL, and they continue to progress the game forward in their favor.
Absolutely do. And yeah, I mean, this being able to find that combo, Hope had flash up, wasn't ready for it. So going to be able to collapse that gold lead just a little bit. AL, though, still going to be comfortable with the position they find themselves in dragon-wise. Be able to just keep that stack game going. One of the boons of having this triple global composition is that they are able to exert that pressure in and around these early objectives. Going to look to do much the same on this Rift Herald that is ready and available. Apparently Sinian going to be the one who is matching Flandre on the bottom side. TP's available for both Stand United, up for Flandre as well.
Just don't think we're close to the timer for EDG, and kind of why I was advocating for them to maybe not fight that last one. I don't think that we're close to the timers for them to be able to really take the fights yet. And I think what I'm looking for is more items on Leave. Frankly, a little bit surprised that we have Leave going for the Hubris, as I do love the title of that item.
It's an aptly named item, is it not?
It really is. You know, there's no beating around the bush there. If you think you can get the stacks and you have the Hubris to push the game forward, you build the Hubris.
Oh, wow. Full combo coming through onto ZDZ. They're just going to blow all the globals they got in their toolkit, and they get the kill for it. AL making another pick, but abandoning the bottom side of the process.
They got 3 grubs. They're playing faster. And this is kind of what 3 grubs enables, too. I think the fact that all 3 grubs went to AL, just Shen being able to have sustained splits because Stand United gets you in the fight so quickly, and the semi-global presence of Ryze, Nocturne, and Shen, really like that play from AL, because even if you can answer on the bot side for EDG, you play faster overall as AL, the fact that you have 3 grubs. So they leave Shanks up top. He's going to get to work on that turret. Might be able to take it on the next wave, and that would be first brick going over to AL. So like that play from them. I think they continue to progress the game forward, and taking ZDZ off
Gets it
the
on
map.
this wave.
Yeah, that's the power of 3 grubs coming in. But getting ZDZ off the map, that is a matchup where, again, Renekton later on can... I think if he's ahead, he can be quite a bear to deal with in these fights. And Shen, the champion that I don't think deals with him the best kind of as time goes on. Pretty rare we talk about Renekton in the scaling aspect, but do think that in this matchup in particular, I prefer Renekton later. But yeah, I just don't think that EDG is going to get to the point of the game where they're going to be happy, because we have Dragon spawning here in 45 seconds, Gordo, and look at the inventories. It just really doesn't feel like EDG are strong enough yet to fight. As
I mean, Flandre just walked up and
me.
Yeah, Flandre just walked up and took another turret, by the way, in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
So they're up 2-0 in that count. Really like the call to leave Shanks alone on that top side to take all of those plates, by the way. Really has set him ahead. He now has the biggest individual gold lead of anybody on the side of AL. He's got both of his scaling items online nice and early. In fact, he's going to have the fully stacked up Seraph's Embrace here before too long. 6 minutes to go on his Rod of Ages, but fully geared up for this next dragon that's going to be spawning here in just a few seconds. And you know AL are going to want to keep their stacking on schedule. They've got everybody in the area right on time. Stand United up for Flandre as well.
I know Phantom Dancer is one of the more efficient items in terms of Zeo items, but RFC, I know the people at home like to hate on it. The extra range it gives you for Jhin and enabling deadly flourishes is so good. find Hubris and the PD to be perplexing for me. Oh, Subjugate cast.
Yeah,
Tempered Fate also cast, but for nada.
They did bring in ZDZ as well. He is coming in for this
Not
big
spotted
fight.
yet.
Tarzan is so vulnerable. Gets the Stand United. It just gets ripped right through by Ruthless Predator. And Tarzan is taken down to start off the fight. Pop Blossom connects onto 2. But where's the damage for ZDZ?
Okay.
Sectioned away is Shanks. He drops down as well. EDG take a quick and easy 2 for 0. As AL just completely unprepared for that Renekton flank.
One of the more efficient shield breaks you'll see. ZDZ eliminating the Stand United in its tracks. Tarzan falls, Shanks next, and EDG much needed in this game. Because I think if EDG give that Dragon, they continue to fall further behind against AL, who they are a comp that needs to speed up. But this gives them 5 minutes, gives them some strength on the bot side. And again, this TP from ZDZ. There was a ward in the back. No ward coverage from AL here. As their pocket, they're so far ahead in this game. They're just kind of playing in the river. They know they have that mid lane priority. Tarzan got low off the Subjugate and the Chunk. And what a follow through from ZDZ. Minus 650 on the shield plus. As he got the Empowered W to take that one down. And a good follow-up from Xiaohao and Sinian to make sure Shanks fell as well. So Herald goes down. This will get a crash, but no crash. Never mind.
Oh.
That's a traffic cone. You can't drive through that.
We're really getting a lot of lessons in champion mechanics this game. We got to see Spell Shield on the Shockwave earlier. We get to see Ruthless Predator just completely delete a Stand United. We get to see Trundle Pillar interrupt the Rift Herald. There's just some plays that you can't go for against certain champions. And
you gotta respect the constable. You know?
You would hope you have the respect before the pro game rather than learning them in real time, but that's just how this game's been so far. Is Jwei going to be a little bit caught out here, just trying to exchange blows with Hope, up a little bit too far.
Didn't find the self. Kael gets one shot by the Varus. Good find from AL. I don't know if that's going to be enough for them to actually start this Baron, but I do think kind of in this transition as we get to the later stages of the game, Ryze and Shen, they can both side lane, and I think the EDG has some trouble answering this. Orianna can only answer with wave clear, but if she walks too far up in the side lane, going to be vulnerable to stuff like this. Is Paranoia and Stand United.
And Realm Warp. It's all three of them right on top of each other. The name of the game for this AL draft is they're able to get Xiaohao in short order. ZDZ, though, tanky enough to be able to walk away in time. They will only claim one victim, but it is the jungler, and On My Way pings being spammed onto the Baron. They think that this smite advantage is enough to force.
Sinian's got the TP. I don't even know if he's going to cast it. As AL, again, ability to play quickly with the Nocturne and the Shen. Converted there.
Wow. This is TP from Sinian, but it was a recall from ZDZ, so he's a little disconnected from the rest of the team. They will successfully secure the Baron, now turning the fight back onto Jwei. He's going to magical journey his way out. Leave going to get caught by the Pop Blossom, but the follow-up damage not able to manifest. Leave is stepping up. He wants some more, but will eventually back on away. AL, they get the one kill, and they get the Baron for it.
Tarzan falls to the Shockwave. It was a big one, but not enough to get more than just Tarzan. As that's going to be Baron and AL. They've got the inners to clear out. Gotta imagine that they can utilize the Shen, the Stand United, the fact that he can join any fight to really pressure. And I mean, just as it felt like EDG had one positive play, it didn't even feel like Xiaohao was stepping out of line. I mean, he was at his red buff. AL just press all their buttons that, again, overwhelm what EDG can match with, given the raw, like, sheer amount of semi-globals or globals that they have.
Yeah, I mean, just playing these relatively immobile characters against this kind of composition just means you're going to get checkmated some amount of the time and just have to give up your life. You got to make up for it elsewhere or, you know, just call a mulligan and wait for game number 2. Those are your options. So far, been 1 or 2 outplays up against AL to try to make good on the disadvantage, but see if they're going to be able to manifest a few more. ZDZ pushing on this top side. Wow.
The scaling is still there for EDG. Again, I believe has a goofy build. I'm not going to... We're not going to ignore that. We're not letting him get away with this. It's going to be Pen coming in, which is needed. I think it's going to take him longer to scale on up because at this point, you know, usually if you build more normal items, you're looking at a potential 3rd item, Infinity Edge, which which Jin always benefits from, given that you have the fourth shots that are guaranteed and get further empowered by IE. So I just think that it slowed things down more, and again for AL, I'm a little bit scared for level 16 on Trundle Orianna. I feel like they can overtake at times. I also am disappointed in the double rocket belts we have on our screen. Actualizer Rise has made a really big comeback, and rightfully so, because it really enables you to find these one-shots in the fight. When you pop the Actualizer, you were so strong for that window.
Just feels good to scoot around, Cubby.
Yeah.
Can't reject that as Kael's caught. Does get the stand united. Survives up against Curtain Call for a little bit longer. Long enough to get the Pop Blossom off. And now Leave sectioned off by Tarzan. But Tarzan doesn't have the damage all on his own. Now he's cut off from the rest of the team. It's a 2-0 fight for EDG so far, as they are able to regroup. And they aren't even that worse off for wear. They've got multiple members at half health. But that is enough to start up this Dragon. And that's enough to secure it. AL have to turn tail and run. They're going to try to get this mid-inner instead.
AL, I think the Tarzan's Paranoia was used to cancel Leave's ultimate and try and get both Flandre into the fight and get Kael's Pop Blossom off, but I think saving Kael there was a bit of an oops, and Tarzan went way too far in. I know Leave almost went down, but with no cleanse and a full fear hitting on him, Leave walked out with 600 health, and Tarzan was too deep. No one from his team could join.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a second look at that. Really nice Deadly Flourish coming out from Leave. Does catch Kael, who again gets really low. Good shots from Leave, who walks out of here, and just Shanks is stuck. Tarzan is split from everyone, and Hope wasn't involved, and Flandre never got in with the stand united, so felt like AL went to save the wrong member there. That's one where maybe Kael going down is okay, and also the control for the other members of AL, they had two members hovering that mid-wave. So trying to play off the bot Tri-Brush and not just play to mid-wave to fight for that all-important banana brush around the dragon, I feel like that was skipping steps / a little bit too quick from AL. I know they had the semi-globals to try and pull those types of plays together. But two missed opportunities in the last two dragons has really slowed this game down to the game where we like the scaling still that Sun Yen and Leave bring.
Yeah, I think big factor in both of these dragon fights has been the stand united. I know it's a fat shield. I know it's tempting to bail out the low HP teammate, but if they die before you port in, you just don't, you get no Flandre. You miss out on your whole Shen, which is half the benefit. Is getting the teleport across the map. Not being able to get that teleport off in both of these dragon fights has been hugely impactful, and AL now find themselves with a pitiful gold lead compared to what they had built up, and EDG have a real pathway into this game number 1.
Again, I prefer the scaling that the Orianna and Jin bring compared to their counterparts, especially I do not love the Rocket Belt Rise. I feel like you're having that item just come in third just feels kind of weird / off to me. I don't even know like what value you're getting for Rocket Belt, given that Pillar is still as slow. Actualizer for me is so much more valuable, and honestly, Leandri's instead for Sun Yen, just given the health stacking that Flandre, Tarzan, and even Shanks has a little bit with the Roa build coming in. I know that these pro players, when you give them tools like Rocket Belt or even Zanya's, what they can do with it, it's more than your average player at home, but the raw stats and some of the items that you're skipping over and missing out on, I think can really have an impact on some of these team fights. And that was one where I think regardless of items, the last team fight for AL, it was off. They didn't have Flandre on top of Tarzan. That's got to be the game plan going in as you try and empower the Nocturne going into the back line. And just kind of a fight away from the carries. And I think this has been the difference of AL this split and this year, Gordo, versus last year. I feel like this team's flaw last year is they would almost fight too much, but they fought so damn well as 5, I didn't care. They were winning games, and it was like, all right, we took too many fights, or we did too much of our greatest strength at a couple timers that weren't there. That's one where they're just split up. Like, they won a fight, but the setup for it was off. And those are mistakes that I wasn't used to seeing from the Tabe AL.
Completely agree there. And now, bit of a stalemate in and around this Baron. 90 seconds to go on Dragon number 5. Going to be, again, a big break point here for AL. You do not want to give up 3 Infernals this EDG comp either. Just going to start really making a difference in how many stats they're bringing to the table as you start to get a lot of the same. AL trying to push in for control over on this side of the jungle. Make sure that they have at least some degree of vision coming on up if that is where this next fight is going to be staged. And third time's the charm for AL. Let's see if they're going to be able to put their pieces together for this next dragon fight and avoid botching the Shen ultimate.
EDG are gonna make some inroads around this Baron pit as they try and establish vision. Again, still gonna be on the back foot in the side lanes. You gotta respect the power of the Paranoia Stand United combo. Just want to see AL have a more cohesive approach. I think picking one side of the river to play in still key for a lot of these setups. And credit to EDG again. They've done a nice job of breaking it. We're getting to some of the scarier points we teased. Almost a level 16 coming in on Trundle. Level 16 is in on Leave and Sinian. And ZDZ with that Spirit Visage. Really nice item on the Renekton. A lot of power to try and absorb. Well, speaking of absorb, current called in.
ZDZ caught on the side. They're going to try to pull the trigger onto him. Shadow Dash comes on through. Will get sent into the Tempered Fate. They're going to try to pull the trigger on the opposite side. Tarzan did pop the Paranoia. They're trying to chase ZDZ down. Flandre's going to hunt him down. Hope going to be able to finish off on a Xiaohao. There's Sinian getting chased down by Shanks. The flash forward, the lockdown from the Rune Prison, burning down to Deathfire Touch. One more Q would do it, but will not connect. Kael is able to find Leave, of all people, so it's a 3-for-0 fight for AL as they split it apart and take EDG down piece by piece.
That was a much better approach from AL. I think the big key to that fight for me was actually getting ZDZ out. ZDZ has been wreaking havoc in the backline of a couple of these fights. That time focusing him early, making sure that he couldn't pressure the backline. Shanks kind of dueled Sinian out. Didn't get the big combos that EDG were looking for in this fight. So Dragon drop, they pick up the Baron. And I think the death timers are long enough where they can't play defenses. Let's take a second look at this one.
What do you think about that Rocket Belt, Cubby?
That was high value there. I mean, the current call being cast, I think, kind of assumed that that was going to connect. And Flandre had the Empower TP shield. Again, ZDZ walking like this. He's chunked out early, so he's already on the back foot. And it makes the rest of the fight hard for Sinian and Leave, as Xiaohao just had no support from his team. Kind of outranged and gapped by Kael, and Leave going to take this duel. Does get the flash out of Hope. His flashes are traded, but it's hunted down by AL. Good flash from Tarzan to close the gap there. Nice damage calculation, as if he fell, Baron might not have been an option, but wasn't the case. So Baron taken, soul point secured, and AL back in control.
Really great stuff for AL there, is giving Heimerdinger another nice little nod on the broadcast. Really great to put themselves back into a 4K gold lead, and really that's just kind of undoes a lot of the stumbles we saw earlier on. That was a very one-sided fight for them. They were able to pick up a lot of vision control. They get their objectives. They get additional items. They're going to take down the final inner on the map now, and they are in the driver's seat, looking to be able to maintain this control with this Baron buff that they picked up.
Again, looking at EDG, if it ends up being a... This is not a new fight. This is a replay.
Yeah. What are we doing?
This is on the...
Hi, everybody.
This is on the Who You Feed.
Yeah, this is not on our wonderful producers here.
Get out locked in Tarzan.
We're just real confused over what our different camera feeds are, I guess. Welcome back, everybody.
TP in from ZDZ didn't find anything as they tried to break the Baron push, and now we're in a pause and Hope DC'd, so...
See, that's what was going on. They knew about the pause, all right? They were just getting a little... They were being a little proactive with where they moved the cameras. That's what was going on.
As much as I think the
For sure, because... You know, they have
to... That's just coaching. As someone that has coached the team,
maybe
it's far more
just that accurate. As we're back into the game. Speaking of Rage Bait Simulator, welcome back to LPL, everybody. As Tarzan not quite going to pull the trigger here on a Xiaohao. He will be able to jump away in time. And AL backing away.
Red buff to 9. Tarzan gets his hands on that. Getting back into the game, of course. It was a close game until the last dragon. AL Forcing ZDZ out early, I thought, was the difference for me in that fight. We're able to pick up that soul after they got the Baron, and I have resumed control of this game. So, Actualizer now in for Shanks and that Rise. Once he pops that item in these fights, Rise can be really bursty, find the one-shots. And really, the last fight, a lot of gold over the Shanks. He got ahead in Jwei. Can he get out?
Can for now. Kael will say absolutely not. The Shape Splitter auto is enough to take Jwei down. And just like that with the Baron up, it is 4 versus 5 on the map. AL looking to be able to get a little bit more here. Just ripping right through this bottom lane inhibitor turret.
Bard provides a lot of value later on in the game with how big those Q roots can be, and then also just the slows on your auto attacks from stacking up those meeps. Him not being available, AL going to be able to easily play 2 lanes. Their semi-globals being able to cover either side, as Shanks looks like he might be taking this inhibitor on his own. I think EDG honestly has to drop both, and that's going to make contesting the Dragon very difficult here in 2 minutes, which of course is a soul on the table for AL.
Yeah. 6,000 gold lead over to AL. 2 minutes to go until they'll be competing for soul. They're going to wipe this quadrant to the jungle before they go. Likely going to have time for one more purchase before that fight does break out. Flandre did finish off that Gromp, by the way. I saw the plus 80 gold. And there's your actualizer that you've been waiting for, Cubby. You know, he may have stopped off for the utility of the rocket belt, but actualizer did come through.
We gotta have our Cubby belts, you know. So, again, actualizer Rise has been kind of making a reemergence, and I am a big fan. I don't know why players... Well, I do know why players dropped off in this build. It's because Cubby belt, but that's fine. We've seen Rise. I just think actualizer really strong in this champion because it gives you a late game where if you are able to get a big combo off with Actualizer, you can one-shot the backline if you get access. And Shanks, a lot of ability to have access, as we've mostly seen the Stand Uniteds be used on Tarzan, as he's been getting in there. Shanks, I would not sleep on a Realm Warp into a Stand United on the Shanks and making him as big as possible. Dragon gonna be the focus. 50 seconds out, EDG trying their best to make inroads. Still going to have to manage this mid wave as they have not taken down the mid-outer turret of AL and have to deal with super creeps coming in.
40 seconds to go on this Dragon. Significant lead to AL, but this has been where they have fumbled. They're pulling the trigger early this time. Right into the backline goes Tarzan, brings Flandre alongside him. Leave is the first person to drop in the fight. Pop Blossom connected out of 2. Gonna line up Sinian to drop down as well. AL find their moment, and they say, screw this Dragon. We're just gonna take the Nexus. Game number 1 going AL's way. They stumbled a little bit for a couple Dragons there, but they will win out in the end.
Yeah, there was no cleanse on Leave, and they split Leave and Jwei, so the Mikhails couldn't come in, and Leave was just feared into the rest of AL. As you call it, the Gordo, a couple Dragons that were stumbled. I do want to give some credit to ZDZ, who I feel like did find some nice angles to change the pace of the game and change a couple of those Dragons, but AL, that was a diabolical composition between a Shen, a Nocturne, and a Rise. Their ability to create angles throughout the game, we saw them be able to do so, and when they weren't stumbling, when they did find those correct grouped up scenarios, Jin couldn't get the damage, couldn't have that long fight that he was looking for, and looked very AL favored in the back half once they pulled things back together.
Yeah, and not just the composition, but the opposition they drafted it against, right? Jin, Orianna, Trundle, not a dash between them. There's nowhere for these guys to go. Chovy Belt not going to get Sinian out of those, and Leave gets dove on in that last fight. Not a place to go in the world. The same problem consistently being found for the likes of Xiaohao on this Trundle, as he was the target in most of the earlier engages. Really good start for AL. I'm sure they want some of those Dragon fights back. Pretty straightforward what the mistakes were in those, but all in all, they're able to reestablish their footing, and they're able to close out the game without too much trouble.
Yeah, I just think some of the setups, again, playing to one side of the river, a key if you're at home, also controlling that banana brush. The Dragons where they messed up. It was a really good TP from ZDZ. We'll give all the kudos in the world for him there and canceling that Stand United that got on the first Dragon. For the second one, AL's setup needed to be better, and it was not. So, nice to see them, though, kind of take inventory of that throughout the game, diagnose some of the mistakes they made heading into those Dragons, and be able to reset and find the engages they needed in the back half to find this game 1 victory.
Yeah, good stuff there. Really going to be now interesting to see what games look like for the rest of the series without this kind of composition available. Obviously, the Nocturne Orianna taken off the board. These are champions that we see in the first ban phase in a lot of these series quite frequently. So you're going to open up things to get a little bit more spicy. And also, I feel like we barely even really saw these two teams clash in earnest in this game because of how strong that draft was for AL, right? The ability to just execute a comp, fight after fight after fight. The fact that EDG were not really able to step up anywhere. You called it out a couple times during the game. It just felt like there was nowhere safe. They're just farming their own jungle camps 2 screens away from anybody on AL, and it turns out that's still too far up. There's just nowhere safe to go. I think a really strong draft from AL that
it is
meant as long as they don't fumble, they are able to take it.
I think one of the really interesting parts moving forward, too, is the fact they did split up the Orianna-Azir handshake. And frankly, given that Azir is Shanks' most played champion this split, I think that really favors AL, because they might be able to find a game where they can take the Azir themselves, or if not, if they do give that Azir over. I know Shanks is always happy to find a pocket LeBlanc, and that's a matchup where he likes the LB too, so it could be a fun one, as we have yet to see Shanks play the LeBlanc this split, but for me, that's a champion I very heavily associate with Shanks, and one I would not be surprised to see as we have gone to best of 5s in Fearless. Just one that Shanks is always able to whip out.
Yeah, Flandre with the 24k damage Shen game, out-damaging everybody on EDG, getting right up there with Hope and Shanks. I mean, you got to put some respect on the Dusk and Dawn Titanic Hydra Shen and what this guy is able to pump out there with these auto-attack combos. Really paying off big time for him here.
Yeah, maybe taking some notes from Broken Blade. Speaking of some international top laners, as world champion top laner rocking the TPA Shen, honoring, again, what is a very fun skin. I do miss old TPA Shen, because the auto attack and sound effect was cool, but also when it used to be Vorpal Blades for Shen, and you threw out the Qs, it was so funny, like hearing like the clappers hit. If you're an old school League fan, that's definitely a fun one. But yeah, ZDZ I think deserves some kudos in this game. I know Flandre ended up getting the best of him in the end, but I do feel like ZDZ in a couple of these Dragon fights, he was the difference maker in terms of picking the right angles and actually finding wins for EDG. Like, that was a good fight. This TP in from ZDZ was perfection, as he snuck behind AL and got the empowered Stand United, or the empowered W got the Stand United shield off Tarzan. A really good flank and really good play here by ZDZ, as he was able to make that one happen. And really the back-breaking fight for me was that 5th Dragon fight, the 3rd one that AL picked up, where ZDZ did walk in and was taken out of the fight early. That's right here. I just walks in the shank. Again, Banana Brush control in AL's favor. Really good combo. Him getting chunked out allowed for AL to play this fight a lot cleaner, because we saw the chaos ZDZ was finding in the backline in this Renekton when he got back there. I think him being out of this fight was key in making sure AL could play this one pretty standard.
And I think really speaks to just how powerful this composition was for AL, especially up against what EDG drafted, that they can just totally bungle 2 Shen fights around 2 dragons in a row and still come out on top like nothing, like they didn't miss a beat. Like, they just roll up to the next fight and they go, okay, we're gonna do it correctly this time.
In hindsight, Jwei played this fight really weird. He burned Flash away from Leave. I think he needed a Flash towards Leave and Mikhail's Leave to make sure that he got out of there, because Leave didn't have Cleanse available. So I think that's why AL went so hard, and the fact they split Jwei from Leave was really key in making sure they could play that fight the way they wanted to. So I think the game was pretty over at that point, but oopsie in that last fight execution from the bot lane of EDG. And again, overall, at AL, the Shen Nocturne were turning back the clock a little bit in terms of strategies, and boy, oh boy, did that work out well for AL in that game 1.
People disrespect it, man. They don't recognize, just how good some of the old stuff can be. The only thing that's Karthus mid is the only thing that's missing. It's I miss that one.
TSM's also missing, Gordo. So just is what it is.
I was told they would be in LPL, Cubby. I'm looking and I'm not seeing them, but
that's what Team
all right.
Fight Manager 2's for, you know?
True. You can have, yeah. We're really. I promise they didn't sponsor the stream, although it'd be nifty if they did. You know, there's contact emails out there and available. Player of the game going the way of Flandre once again. I think it speaks very much to how strong this champion is that he can have 2 just abysmal ultimates that completely punt dragon fights, and still we're all here like, yeah, MVP all the way. Dude played great. So yeah, good stuff for him. You can't argue with these numbers.
Nope. I like the Shen pick. I feel like BB was on to something in EU. Good to see Flandre's bringing out as Flandre. At his best, Flandre is always cooking in the top lane, and whatever picks he's willing to bring out onto the Rift, I feel like he always plays them relatively well. I don't associate him being the strongest mechanical top laner that we have. Always associate him with more cerebral skills, but I think he does execute his picks well, and that was one that I really like coming out of him. So good game 1 from AL, and Gordo, I've got to get more coffee, and we're hoping to promote some coffee as well here on the LPL.
Absolutely. Here, you know, we don't have that Team Fight Manager 2 money as much as we are plugging it. So if you want to support LPL English, consider becoming a coffee member. It is the best way to support the LPL English projects. It's the vast majority of your contributions will go directly to the show. A lot of the initial payments go to upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays out to on-air talent and content creators. You can subscribe to our coffee linked in the chat to unlock perks like early access to content like the LPL English podcast and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique on-site interviews.
No! I thought I was going to break. I could sneak in a yawn. My bad,
You
Gordo.
got caught, brother.
I
All right,
gotta do some jumping jacks now. We're going to the break.